would have thought that there would be plenty of signs to get to Sandia Crest Trail, considering it's a massive trail that goes along the entire Sandia Crest, but apparently not, because all I've seen signs for is Tunnel Springs Trailhead, which is where I am, which is apparently the start of my hike. It should be about 13 to 14 miles to my camping spot tonight. It's 11:05, which is kind of late, so I might be hiking in the dark. It's pretty much all uphill today. I'm trying to get caffeinated for this one so I can power through and go pretty much the whole way without stopping for real rest breaks. I don't know what trail conditions are going to be like. It looks like there's still some snow on the north facing slopes, and yeah, I brought my micro spikes. This could be easy, could be hard, but there's nothing like a lack of preparation and just finding out. Supposedly, there's only one place to get water on this entire hike, and one of my bottles is already leaking, and I can tell because like the straps of my pack are wet, but it'll be fine. Okay, so we're about 4 miles in, and there's nothing really special about the hike so far, besides the fact that it is super quiet. There's nobody out here. There was just one Range Rover parked when I got to the trailhead, and I didn't even start early, so that's always a good sign that I'm gonna see no one today, which I always love. So the action camera has a shattered screen now. It still films just fine as far as I can tell. So hopefully it is salvageable. Anyways, this happened because I was setting up the tripod on a rock, but then the camera body came undone from these two clips right here. 1, 2. So I guess it was either just not connected properly to begin with, or when I was setting up the tripod, I accidentally hit a button here. Bottom line is I can't use it because these tiny shards of glass would get stuck into my skin. So the rest of this is going to be filmed on iPhone 16e. My watch says that I'm at 8,500 feet. However, the vegetation is still mostly pinon pine, which is weird because typically when you're this high in New Mexico, you're in a ponderosa forest, sometimes even with Douglas fir. So this must be a pretty dry side of the mountain. I had to get around this massive tree that fell right down the middle of the trail. And the snow was like 3 feet deep, and I don't know, it gave out underneath me and hurt my finger a bit. But it's like quicksand. You fall in and then you can't get a grip on anything and you're just kind of stuck. This is how snowboarders die, I guess, falling into tree holes. Sandia Peak, 10,600 feet. You can see the whole city of Albuquerque. Yeah, getting up here, it got better. There were some bad spots where the snow was just the worst type of snow, where it'll crunch for a bit under your foot, and then you sink a whole foot down. But it got better. It's a bit chilly. Originally, I was planning on going all the way to the tram, because that's where you can officially refill your water using their water fountain. But there's so much snow here, I think I'm just going to melt it, and that's how I'll get my water. Hopefully, I have enough fuel for that, which means I can just relax and find a place to set up camp here. Dinner today is freeze-dried chicken fried rice. Here it is. Pretty soupy, but also like undercooked at the same time. But look at the view. Sunset in the back. Despite my best efforts to get camp set up before it was dark last night, I never can. I actually got the tent set up, but not any of my sleeping stuff. So here it is, kind of by these aspens, which would protect from any deadfall from those dead trees if the wind did blow them over. I did find a non-snowy patch, which is pretty rare up here. And the ground was soft and relatively level. And it's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 10 steps from the edge here, which is not exactly a cliff, but pretty much a cliff. I used my dad's sleeping kit, which means that everything is like extra long. Like extra long sleeping pad, extra long sleeping bag. And so it's just a bit difficult to comfortably fit everything in the tent without hitting the edges all the time. But this is an insulated pad, which I don't have, so it kept me very warm all night. Sleeping last night was horrible. I would sleep for like 1 hour intervals and then be awake for another half hour. There were some people walking around this crest trail last night and talking pretty loudly. And then also there was a very large animal that I could hear growling last night. I think it was down here, so I'm trying to look for tracks. So, didn't find any tracks, but it must have been close because I heard it loud and clear, even with my earplugs in. And it came around twice, about 20 minutes apart. So I don't know what it was. I'm not sure if bears are still hibernating. It's March 1st, but it's a pretty warm March 1st. From Kiwani's cabin, I could see the tram, which means I could also see where my water refill would be at an easy water fountain. But I don't know, for some reason I decided to just continue with the snow melting. Well, that's a generous way to put it. I just stuffed a bunch of snow into my Camelback water bladder, and I guess my body heat is melting it as I hike, and so I'll have water by the time I need it. So the spikes are off now because we're out of the forest and the sun here has melted away most of the snow. There's still some, but I think it's better to just take them off now. Yeah, walking through the snow in the morning was a lot better because of the refreeze last night. It meant that I could just walk over top of the snow with a lot less falling into the snow. One thing I don't like are trails that are pretty straight on your way back to the trailhead, but right before you get there, you have to do a ton of loops and switchbacks and go around this hill, go to that hill, down this valley, but then up and into a different one. That's what this trail's like. And kind of like La Luz as well. La Luz is just endless switchbacks. But for a while I felt like I'm almost at the car because we're already past 10 miles. But nope, not yet. So this has got to be the first backpacking trip I've done where I finish with tons of snacks in reserve and also a lot of hydration in reserve. Melting the snow on my Camelback actually worked really well because the water was like refreshingly cold every time I drank from it. And it didn't taste bad either. Yeah, snow water is good, but we will see if I'm sick tomorrow because there were definitely some bits of dirt and bugs in there. Overall, the trail is nice. It takes you from the hot desert here up into the snowy mountain peak. You get a lot of good variety. You go from cacti and yucca to Douglas fir and snow and aspen trees. So that's always nice. The views, they don't compare to La Luz. La Luz has a lot of bang for buck. That's hard to beat. The trail itself, a very steady incline. It's not hard at all. Of course, I did this out and back style where I just start here in Placitas, go up to Sandia Peak, come back down to Placitas. It is possible to through hike where you end, I don't know, I guess by Moriarty, or by like I-40 at the southern end of the Sandias. There wasn't much wildlife besides the mystery animal last night that was growling. It was pretty spooky, actually. And then a lot of birds. I didn't see anyone else on the trail on the first day. On the second day, today, I saw one guy going up. Granted, it is a Tuesday, so only the most ambitious and unemployed among us will find ourselves out here. Pretty good trail. I don't know if I would do it again. Maybe I'll try the southern half next time.